use that torque curve a third, use that electric motor to pull us out.
Yeah.
They told me not to drift it, but we had to do a couple slides. Yes. Oh, hell yes. You can absolutely slide it in electric mode, as we have found out, which is amazing. So two-wheel drive, DSC off, Kinematic coming out of here. Just great freaking skids, easy as pie.
Alright. Anything out of the corner?
Nothing to see here.
Pull it down.
One last skid. Well, you guys joined me in the M5 for the first time, and this has been a very anticipated moment for me. So I'm making this video for me, not for you guys, because this is everything I would be interested in as someone who's an M5 fan and an EV fan, but also a combustion car fan. It kind of combines everything. So I'm going to put us into electric mode, pure electric driving mode to start. And then we will jump out on the road and try everything. But I'm just going to put it in drive. There's no B mode for enhanced regen. It creeps right off the line, and we are off in the new M5. New M5, well, here are the stats. I've already done a full tour of the new M5, by the way, the G99 touring version, which is the one we all are interested in, long roofs for life. And BMW is like, if the wagon sells, maybe more wagons will come to the US. So anyway, I'm excited about that. We're primarily driving the sedan in this video, but just some high-level stats. Everyone's complaining about the weight on the M5, except for me. I drive very heavy electric cars most of the time. So yes, even though this is over 5,000 pounds, which is no lightweight, the weight doesn't actually scare me because I've driven plenty of cars now that don't feel so heavy, even though they are. And you'll get my impressions of the weight on the car, and in general, it sort of washes away into the background. Certainly, we'd all prefer a lighter car. I actually had more issues with the tire than the weight, and would love to see what the other tires drive like on the car. 740 horsepower. Timing can flash up the exact stats on the screen. That's combined. Electric motor's about 200 horsepower of that, and then you, of course, have your 4.4 liter twin turbo V8 up front, which is a pretty similar drivetrain to the BMW XM. And I'll be digging into this a lot and comparing it to XM a lot because we've already spent time with that vehicle on actually our Out of Spec Reviews channel, and we were really displeased, especially me. I was really displeased with that daily driving performance of the XM. It didn't feel fast, and it wasn't smooth, and the electric mode kind of sucked. And so I was like, man, I really hope they fix everything for the M5, a car that's so important to me. And they fix some things, and some things I think still need some tuning. But what we're going to do is we're going to drive it on the street in electric mode, in normal driving, a small little spicy run on the road. Then we'll get it out on track where we can do just a few laps of the BMW Performance Center in the dry. Unfortunately, then it started pouring rain. I actually did a couple electric laps as well, just to stress test the hybrid system of the car. And then we finish it off at the end with just a quick synopsis of the experience. So join me for my first time driving the new BMW M5. First of all, nice big steering wheel. It really feels close to a 7 Series in here versus something like a like even the i5. This just feels so much more substantial than a standard 5 Series does by far. So I'm going to check out of here, drive around in electric mode, and then see how everything feels. This should be really interesting. Let's have a go. Okay, we are off in the M5 in electric mode. Starts off in first gear. Wow, really clunky second gear shift. Already I'm annoyed. Not totally annoyed. Okay, so here's my issue. Let me gather my thoughts. I drove the XM, which is a very similar drivetrain to this, and where BMW puts the electric motor in the system is pre-transmission. Now in the standard plug-in hybrid cars, it's really not a problem. The shifting's quite smooth, but in the M Steptronic transmission, I think they still call it that, you really feel the cogs go. So anyway, let's accelerate out of here in electric. Okay, actually a little bit of wheel slip. Can feel and hear almost a little humming noise in electric mode. I can go to the kick down switch, and it's just accelerating. Honestly, great acceleration in electric. You almost get the sense that maybe the combustion engine's spinning up, in the sense where you hear this brr, brr, but it's just the electric motor making its noise as it runs through the gears. So I'm cruising in 7th gear in electric mode. why am I the only person to review an M5 and care about how it drives in electric mode? I don't know, but this is how people would drive it every day. It's showing 8 miles of range at a quarter charge, 25% charge. And let's see if it'll regen in. Yes, so as I hit the brake pedal, feels pretty natural. This car's optioned with the ceramics. Haven't even gotten into them yet. Just using as much regen as possible. That feels good. We're going to do an electric launch here. So I think if I just go to the kickdown switch, it will not kick on the combustion engine. If you push the kickdown switch, then we'll talk about that. That's when things get scary to me, because then you're waking up your combustion engine at wide open load, and that's the only way to get it on. I'm pretty sure I can also put energy recuperation to max, which I just did. Everything else is in standard, and M sound off. Maybe that's what I was hearing, some of that noise. So let's try this. Full throttle in electric mode. Damn, jumps off the line in electric. 30, 40, 50, and 60 miles an hour, fully electric. I mean, yes, we had a little bit of downhill there, but totally plenty fast acceleration. I think you can go up to roughly 85 miles an hour, fully electric. So even if you have a couple mile commute on the highway, you have more than enough power. Like for example, a foot down, it dropped into 6th gear from 7th, and it's just pulling us right up this hill, no issue at all. And there I can feel quite a bit of off throttle regen. It's actually pretty damn good. I think the only thing that's a little bit annoying and to me makes sense from the compromise of a plug-in system is when you're in electric mode, you feel it shift. But you could easily commute everyday electric in this thing. You just will feel the surges as it goes through the gears. But you know, that 1-2 shift in the parking lot seemed a little bit aggressive and abrupt, but I haven't noticed it really anywhere else. I just want to pop into a little side street, one last little electric mode test before we kick on the V8 and see how everything works together. I also want to try that system with, you know, with some charge in the battery. So again, starting out at 25% doesn't give us much time for everything, but let's turn down into here and just see where the heck we can get ourselves. I believe this is sort of a highway road, but that's okay. Let's just do a gentle acceleration onto a, you know, sort of highway. So starting in 2nd here. When you put your foot down, you kind of have to wait. It takes a second for it to build up. Totally fine, other than the surges. Can go wide open throttle. I love that you can just go right to maximum acceleration in electric and not have to worry about the combustion engine kicking on. This is so great, and I think is a relaxing function. So many electric cars, including new Porsche plug-in hybrids and others, have lost the plunger. They've lost the point at which you can max out your electric system before the combustion engine comes on, and man, is that annoying. There's no way around it. It is pretty annoying. So I think what we'll do is we'll find a little city street somewhere around here. I just want to try some more low speed stuff, but so far I've been more than impressed. Looks like we can do driver assistance, yes, in electric mode, which is great. So it's lane centering, doing everything I need it to do in electric mode on the highway, cruising. How about that? Okay, loving this so far. And, you know, I think you're spending a lot of money for a high-power sports car. Why should I be excited about driving a, I don't know, 200 horsepower plus or minus electric car around everywhere? Well, I think for me, this is a kind of, especially in the touring version, the one vehicle that can do it all. And I think as long as it has enough power to get around electric daily, then that's what I'd be looking for. Okay, so now we're on like a totally side road. Let's just come to a stop again. Really good brake blending, very smooth brake pedal. That's impressive. Accelerating from a launch. Honestly, barely noticed that gear shift, that 1-2. Maybe it was just cold transmission, first move of the day. I'm not sure. One more time, just to make sure everything is good. We got one car coming up on us here, so we'll just move over, let them go by. Goes only to 1st gear at like 2 miles an hour. And it is strong off the line. Gear shift, smooth-ish, another gear shift. I mean, you don't really get like an EV driving experience, but it is fully electric. Okay, so I'm pleased with that. Let's go to hybrid mode now. Now, this is the key up setting. So I basically have, you know, a cold combustion engine at the moment, and a hybrid system that is at, I don't know, 15% charge, plus or minus. So I can use throttle, and it stays in electric mode, which is great. So you can really do most of your driving electric, but if you lean into it, I'm sure the combustion engine will fire up, and I'm pretty sure this is the first fire of the day for this car. So let's see how smooth that feels. Lean into it. Little surgy, there's a delay. And then it wakes up and it's just boom, 3,000 RPM. Now this isn't my car, so I'm not here to protect the engine, but you know, it should be able to handle stuff like that. That's what they say. And now even more regen plus engine braking, and it's not using any electric power. It's just using the combustion engine to move us along. Just going to make a quick U-turn here, try out that turning radius. Very good. And if I just stab it quick, really quick, yeah, then you get an electric boost for torque fill. But yeah, that was pretty good. All is good here. It just really does rely on that combustion engine for the first fire. What I'm looking forward to seeing now is how long does it take for it to go back to electric. So it's got to warm the combustion engine up, go through its cold start, get the cats warm, mostly from an emissions standpoint, maybe get some moisture out of the combustion chamber, which probably wouldn't happen unless the car was sitting for a really long time. Sounds good initially. It's more comfortable than I would expect. It's quieter than I would expect. It's just like a daily driver in hybrid mode. It's pretty docile, which is honestly a great attribute to have. We're now in 8th gear. And so when will it just go back to electric? How long will it take? That's what we're here to find out. Oh, I'm liking the M5. Now I wonder if I can just lock it to E. Well, I'm not going to put it in electric mode, but will it shut off now? Yes, now we're back to off, and we're back to electric. So that was its cold start time. Oh, and the combustion engine's on now, just even under light throttle. Just to roll into it a little bit. Making some noise, feeling some torque, all from the V8. There's no engine temperature gauge here, which is driving me crazy, but I'm sure there is in the system, no question. I'm sure I can even pull up an engine temperature gauge in the menu if I go to, not music, but trip data, assisted view, augmented view, route preview, map, setup. That's like all of our M things. Drivetrain, there we go. Now I've got all my temps. Wonderful. Everything's cold. So that's the electric mode portion, and when the combustion engine kicks on, it's smooth. It has a really nice connection, at least on the first 2 connections that I've felt. I'm going to drive it in hybrid mode for a bit, and everything in comfort, daily drive mode, just to see how it does. And then, of course, once everything comes up to temperature, we'll find some twisty roads, open it up, and then, of course, hit the racetrack and see how it does when we dial everything up to maximum. But so far, very pleased. Like it better than the XM. A lot of my tuning issues, okay, wish it was a little bit more of an EV-like driving experience, but other than that, things are going very well here. And I'm glad I get all of my battery and motor, coolant and oil temperature and turbo pressure all right here in the display. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to want to ever go back to electric once you're moving in hybrid mode, because it says we have 4 miles EV, and it's just sitting driving on combustion. See what happens. Catch up with you guys in a bit. Just while we're sitting here and I'm about to make a U-turn to go back, and we'll start opening up the car a bit now that temps are starting to wake up a little bit. We are sitting in electric mode, which is great. There is an auto hold I can hit to hold us at the light, and then we can pull away fully electric, make a U-turn. All is good. Great turning radius, very impressive. And then accelerations up onto the highway. I'm going to keep about 25-30% throttle. You can see it's doing it all electric now. And there the combustion engine kicks on. There is a hesitation when you keep constant throttle pressure. The car almost stops accelerating for a second. You would think it would supplement with electric motor. So, okay, maybe I'm not totally sold on this electric motor combustion engine calibration, but it is better, way better than some other cars that I've driven. What's interesting to me though is, even though we're in hybrid mode, that it just chose to not use electric. It's not like we were maxing it out. It's I don't know why I didn't just stay in electric mode, but I think I can still lock it in EV mode, yes. And then I can still, you know, drive wide open electric or hybrid. And then, yeah, everything is good. Now combustion engine's on and we're rocking. Great. Okay, well that's all the daily driving stuff. Have to say, the way I have the car set up, if I click the setup button, is I have everything in comfort, energy recovery, which is like regen and maximum, drive logic, which is sort of the shifting pattern in comfort, chassis and comfort, steering comfort, brake and comfort, MX drive and 4-wheel drive, and M sound off. This is how everyone would daily drive this car, and it's lovely. It's really quite supple. You can tell there's a sense of firmness. It's not like it doesn't. Nothing is indicating that anything is super heavy here. It feels quite agile. So far as a daily driver, I am completely sold on this thing. And you just charge it up every night. It's got a relatively big battery, and it's good. So anyway, that's enough of the daily stuff. I just want to drive this thing fast now. So what I'm gonna do is, on the way to the twisty roads, is I'm gonna click M Hybrid. I'm gonna go to E Control and select it. And so now it will charge the battery. And you want to drive in a moderate way. That way that it's not having to output power for torque fill or anything. So right now I'm using the combustion engine to charge the high voltage battery, so that there's still some boost left over when we get to the twisty roads. So much to think about in a plug-in hybrid. It keeps you occupied, to say the least. Just cruising here on the highway. Figured I'd talk a little highway noise. Definitely quite a bit more road noise than I would expect coming into the car. It's not dead silent, and also quite a bit of noise coming up here through the windows. I guess I'm a little bit swayed. Okay, this lady, she's got to stop talking. There we go. I'm a little bit swayed because I just came out of basically a month and a half with the BMW i7, which is like the quietest car on the road. It certainly isn't a deterring factor, but I imagined this to be a little bit more isolated on the roads, without question. So that's kind of interesting. This is going to be my first time where I'm going to roll into it a little bit. Again, everything in comfort, E-Control, the charging function's still on. Well, let's just give it some power here. Damn, feels great. Very linear response. Nothing felt surgy about that at all. Felt very nice. Just rolling into the throttle. Whoa, that felt really good. Okay, I'm pleased with the tuning there, because let me just put it back to M Hybrid. M Hybrid, cars off, roll into it. Not good there. So the transition electric to gas, I can officially say, is not how I would prefer to do it at all. Definitely not. Anywho, what I think you can do is you either drive this car electric, or you keep the combustion engine on all the time. And there's so many freaking settings, but I love that personally. Let's keep charging up the battery, forces the engine on. And then just to try a little bit of juice. Okay, yeah, it's got freaking power, that's for sure. Man, it feels meaty. Let's find some twisty roads. Well, now you find me on some better roads, and I've configured the M buttons now. So I've charged up the battery to about 25%, so I'm going to click the M1 button, which puts me into like a mild-ish sport mode. Man, when you get into some of these M modes, the regen gets pretty strong, which is awesome. And I have everything sort of in sport, but energy recovery in max. I do really just want to feel the outright acceleration, just to know what this thing's capable of on a launch first. And so I think that's kind of what we should do to start. So what we're going to do is just kind of get out of this area, find a great deserted place, just to launch it up to the speed limit, and see if it feels as quick as some of these electric cars. I don't think it will. You know, my daily driver, I'm a bit swayed because I drive a Model S Plaid as my daily driver, so I would love that kind of acceleration, of course. I don't think this is going to give it to me, but let's find out. So I'm going to go into M2, which is sort of my hardcore mode. No one's around, thankfully. So left foot hard on the left. Launch control, and... oh, holy smokes. That was unexpected. Are you kidding me? It just lit up the freaking tires on a launch. Okay. Driving it around in comfort mode did not give me the impression that it was going to be that spicy off the line. Whoa! M5, baby. Okay. It was just traction limited. That's awesome. So I put us back into the way I've configured M1, and wow, it's feeling fast as hell. The brakes feel great. The ceramics on this one feels like a brake-by-wire system. When it gets into ABS, I can hear the clicks. The biggest concern for me is just like, does it feel huge? And everyone keeps talking about the weight. I'm not going to mention the weight. I'm so used to driving big, heavy electric cars all the time that to me, I'm happy this thing weighs less than 6,000 pounds. Whoa. That was great. Coming through this nice little intersection and just mat the throttle on the exit. Okay, I'm sold. It's got meaty power. Certainly this engine can make some power with a tune. It's unbelievably fast in a straight line, but it's not like an electric car at all. You have to get it in the right settings, in the right mode, at the right RPMs, and when you get this thing boogieing, it definitely, yeah, it lights up off the line. That was impressive. So I'd like to find some rolling hills. I don't know if it's possible. My biggest thing for the street was just making sure that it's comfortable as a daily driver. And then of course we're gonna get it out on track here in a minute. And it's definitely comfortable as a daily driver. Now what's interesting is it's not shutting off now, even though I have it in hybrid mode. Yep, we're in hybrid mode. And if I go to setup, it's because the drivetrain is in sport. If I go comfort, is it the drive logic setting? Oh, it's sport and drive logic, I guess, need to be both set in comfort for it to do like the hybridy thing. So some people who don't like the transition between gas and electric and just want to drive this as a combustion car all the time, I think you can just keep the drivetrain in sport, everything else in comfort at the moment, and it should just stay in combustion mode all the time, which it's very nice, very quiet, very comfortable. Then you can click, you know, your crazy buttons here if you want to. So the way I have M1 set, I think is pretty good for my liking. And all right, let's test some passing power. So let's do 30 miles an hour to whatever it gets up to, and then we got to bang it right up here. So 30, floor it. It's rapid. But it's so delayed. You know, again, most reviewers probably are coming at this from a combustion standpoint. I'm just like, okay, you can buy a much faster electric car for the same money. It's not all about the straight line performance. It's about the feel, it's about the quality, it's about everything else that this thing can offer. And that is what we are going to find out now. So let's go into M2 cannot be activated. Why? It says chassis stabilization active. Oh, maybe because ESP was kicking on around that corner. Grab the paddles. Holy shnikes. The numbers this thing puts up are stupid. Totally stupid. Okay, you don't need a faster one. And it encourages you to stay in the throttle way longer than a typical, you know, Lucid Air at the same price point would. Those are just like, whoa, really fast. This is like stay in the throttle and it pulls harder and harder and harder, and you get this noise and the experience. And it's awesome. A little bit delayed on the shifting though. If I hold the left paddle, will it go to the lowest gear? No. Nice. Good. You pull for each one you want. These paddles are, I don't like them. Wow, you can see the electric gauge come up and just get this extra surge of power and boost. And it is awesome. Sounds amazing at like 4,500 RPM. This kind of interesting flat plane crank, very typical V8 sound. Not sure how much of it is synthesized, but it certainly is cool. And it's way too fast for the public roads. Way too fast for the public roads. Chassis feels nice and compliant. Steering, not much coming through here, but the ratio feels good. I was worried that they'd make it too quick, and I don't think they have. The wheel's too thick in my opinion, but yeah, no question. They've kind of got this thing dialed in, might I say. The weight does not seem to be a big deal at the moment. So let's go, everything dialed up. We're gonna let this person go. And then we're gonna launch it again, because that was crazy. So I'd like to experience. So left foot to the floor. Floor. Launch control. Go. Absolutely menacing off the line. Okay, I think that's about all we can do on the street. What we learned is it's comfortable enough for the daily drive. The electric mode's powerful enough to get you up to highway speeds and do everything electric. So, you know, we have this coffee run challenge on out of spec. It would pass that. And the combustion engine with the electric motor, when everything is on full boil, it's crazy. And I'm certainly not in a place where I can drive it too hard. So I'm looking to get it out on track and feel the dynamics, feel if the weight's an issue, feel how the brakes feel. And with that, that's my first go in the new M5. And so far, yeah, the tuning things, I would love to see some improvements, but I think I would have a lot of fun having the option to drive combustion or electric or both. And I think, yeah, to me, that opens up a lot of cool possibilities, because I can just mat it, ride this torque curve, upshift early, and just get this nice grunt, and then lean on the ceramics. Get the ceramic brakes. It's really interesting to have this brake-by-wire, because you can just hear it clicking away. But the pedal feel is pretty damn good, and you can get it kind of on threshold braking. I mean, I'm really impressed with those initial first few braking applications. I wonder how it'll translate to brake fade on track after multiple laps. I'm not sure you would notice it so much, or if the brakes would just fail because it has so much brake fade compensation, but damn. And you got to get right on the brakes. Holy shnikes, I love the M5. Okay, back to the Performance Center. Just two more notes on the daily driving characteristics of M5. There are two kind of unpleasant noises that happen as you drive the car in electric mode. There's almost a sawtooth-like, what was the other one? There's almost like a sawtooth-like electric motor noise when you lift off the throttle and it regens. So it almost sounds like there's a police car really far away from you and you just hear like a high-pitched noise almost. And then the second is there are occasional vibrations, sort of like a crunching, grumbly sound, a real not great reverberation at very certain engine RPMs for the electric motor. It happens under like medium to hard acceleration, and you'll just hear this grrr as it gets through this like resonance period and then accelerates up. So it's not a completely silent, a completely jerk-free electric experience. And I think that's just something a lot of people are going to expect. They're going to expect a electric driving experience in the sense of a Model 3 or a Model S or a Lucid or whatever would be comparable. You know, Lucid certainly would be comparable to this. I think people would expect that smooth electric experience from a plug-in hybrid. This does not offer it. It honestly feels very similar to driving with the combustion engine on, just with a lack of a little bit of noise, and certainly you're not burning any fuel. But to the EV driving experience, it doesn't have that. Volvo plug-in hybrids, for example, offer a one-pedal driving function just because of where the electric motor is placed in the line here. This does not. It would be similar to the Panamera plug-in hybrid where the electric motor is pre-transmission, and I would argue the Panamera probably is a bit smoother. I've spent a lot of time with that car, because it also offers a dual clutch transmission, and so the dual clutch can shift quite a bit quicker than this big torque converter can. And I think it's definitely better than XM in all of the electric stuff, but even just getting it off the line like that, you get an acceleration, then the torque converter feels like it locks up, or the electric motor does something, and you get a second little surge, and it's just not dead smooth. But I think the compromise is worth it, because you can do your daily commuting electric. You can go into areas of the world where combustion cars might be banned, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your view. And from my perspective, I think it's a good compromise, considering the performance potential when you are driving it quickly, which, let's just be honest, is going to be a very small percentage of the time comparatively to your ownership. You probably aren't going to drive this that fast, but over some big train tracks feels great. Rolling into the throttle here, that was amazing. So like sometimes it absolutely nails the transition when the combustion engine kicks on, and sometimes you're at a speed range or load range or input period where it does get a little bit clunky, and I think it's just going to be something you have to live with. And probably the less you think about it, the more you ignore what's happening with the drivetrain, the saner you will be. My problem is I obsess about what the powertrain is doing, which I know a lot of my viewers do as well. And I'd be watching the gauges and listening and hearing everything and like, oh, did it kick on now? Is it too warm to shut off? Is it too cold to go hard throttle? All of these things go in my head. And I'm not sure that this car is very conducive to a relaxing motoring experience like an electric car where you just don't think about anything, or a combustion car where you just drive it gently for the first few miles, let it warm up, and then just drive it normally. But like here, for example, keeping consistent throttle, and then the combustion engine turns on. Amazing. The less you think about it, the better it is. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's get this thing out on track, dial it up to max, and see if we can really shred it, because this is the final make or break. To me, it's much more important that it's a performance car than it is a comfortable daily driver, but it certainly needs to do both. And it's comfortable enough, not quiet enough, in my opinion, especially for the price point. But yeah, loving the seating position, loving the everything. It's all good. Just thinner wheel, quieter cabin, smoother electric transitions. Those are the three things I think they need to work. All right, guys, before we head out and do some performance driving, I'm just going to have a quick go in the touring version of the M5. I have a full tour of this car, deep dive, every setting, every menu, everything like that. Full interior space tour. It may even have been this exact car because this is a US spec one already on this channel. I'll leave it linked below, but won't even film it. I'll just let you know if there's any major differences between this and sedan, driving them back to back. All right, guys, you join me now in the M5. Both cars that we've driven today are not equipped with M Drivers Pack. It would give us more hybrid modes and some other things. And we're going to go for a little lead follow. So forgive the cut in here, but it should be fun. All right, guys, we're heading out in the M5 now. Similar spec to the car that we drove earlier, but not exactly. Everything's a little bit cold, so we'll give it a second to warm up. Tires are cold, brakes are cold. Just running regular, yeah, just regular modes.
Here, get them pointed.
And this is what I'm looking forward to seeing. So we're just gonna rip on cold motors. Sound good? Let's boogie.
Maybe a bit left.
Man, it does feel pretty soft in this mode, but pretty awesome as well. Cold tires, all part of the fun.
All right.
Same course layout that we ran this last year, which is great. And we have the car in a pretty gentle setting at the moment.
Shallow entry, folded mount, lane apex, long straight.
Four-wheel drive, a little bit of traction control coming in as well, but all good. Just getting used to the car. Haven't driven this thing hard yet. It feels right at home, and very happy at doing its thing. So liking it quite a bit without question. Brakes feel great. This one's on ceramics.
That's perfect. We'll get a bigger bit of a gap here. Go for another lap or so.
And just getting used to it, of course. So let's actually just go into the settings that make sense to go. So
super torquey, these M5.
Four-wheel drive sport, and we'll get on the sticks.
Left front end's gonna kick up pretty quickly. It's very smooth throttle inputs on the exits.
Certainly makes quite a bit of power, without question. Yeah, feels nice and solid. Four-wheel drive sport, always doing its thing. Love that. Drivetrain clunk there coming out of that car. That was odd. Grab third, snap the throttle, and just mat it. BMW's doing what BMW's do. Man, some sort of emergency brake compensation coming in as well, a little bit to get used to this brake-by-wire system. But it's freaking awesome. Okay, so it's hard to get a total gauge on these coldish tires and the tight corners. Yeah, it's definitely a big car to get through, but the weight doesn't seem to be much of a problem, and it's just on such a street tire. But it's so fun, man. Driving this fast does the M5 thing.
One more gap here. Looks like we're gonna go for one more all-out lap.
I've had the great opportunity to drive the previous generation out here, and
3, 2, 1.
it's faster than an M3 competition. A little bit of early upshift just so we didn't come up on him. And this is going to be our hot lap, so let's have some fun. Man, the brakes are just hilarious with this brake-by-wire. You just get right on them. use that torque curve at third, use that electric motor to pull us out.
Beautiful.
They told me not to drift it, but we had to do a couple slides. You know, it really doesn't feel all that heavy. We really need to get one of these on like a set of tires that no one cares about. It would just be a drift machine. A little wide, but it's a big car. Never hurt anyone, did it?
Alright. Can we come out of the corner?
Nothing to see here.
Pull it down.
One last skid. That's with MDM mode too. Like, it really does let you have some fun. So, hell yeah, nice work.
That was awesome.
That was fun. We didn't go super hard, but yeah. Okay, so you can have fun in the new M5. That's what everyone wanted to know. And it does the thing. Well, viewers, you joined me the next day, and it is pouring rain out here, which is kind of interesting. So first thing I want to do is like do a lap in electric mode. So I'm going to go here to setup. We're going to put energy recovery to max. I think I have to run comfort everything. Let me go to M hybrid. These cars are not equipped with the, you know, whatever M drivers pack situation. So we'll keep it all there. I can go, MDM mode, four-wheel drive sport, and electric mode. You can also do two-wheel drive, electric mode, everything off, which is fun, and I definitely will try that here in a minute as well. So with all of that said, let's turn the, let's go do some electric laps. We're at 75% state of charge in this thing. Gonna just pull up some different views here so we can get our, yeah, set up. I know exactly what's going on. And we're gonna go do a couple laps in electric mode. Why not? It's pretty dumb, but it's pouring rain. We can't go fast anyway, so we may as well have some fun. All right, ready to roll. So I'll keep it in electric. We've got lights.
You may have seen this track before at some point, but if not, it's still the first lap. We'll kind of give you some tips about it because there are quite a few puddles forming around the track, usually in some of the corners.
Yeah, sounds good. Feel free to point away, and then I'll film lap 2 and whatever we do after. So, electric mode in the M5. We've got the track down. It says support reduced driver assistance. Great. And we're doing a lap fully electric. So let's see how it goes. Even a little bit of power on oversteer in electric mode, which is hilarious. Just going to the kickdown switch, wide open throttle down the straight at the moment. Dude, it accelerates pretty good. Following in a M3 competition. Coming under braking. It's really not bad. I have it in four-wheel drive sport, which should send most of the power to the back, which will be great. Going across the skid pad now. And looking forward to seeing how it does with MDM mode. Look at that, nice little oversteer, a little understeer. You can throttle it on. Look at that, sliding in electric mode, easy peasy. And this is hilarious. Yes, so you can have fun, you can slide it in electric mode. You don't have all that much power, but on a track like this, which is small, and you really don't need the power. Hot laps in EV mode in the M5. Why are we doing this? Because we can, and you can't go fast anyway in these conditions, so we may as well have a little bit of fun. Chuck it in, wide open throttle, and you just gotta sit there at the kickdown switch. You can hear the electric motor changing gears, the gear train. We are losing a little bit of power. You can see 80% there. Coming in under braking now. Let's go back to setup. We gotta close these stupid messages. Can we do two-wheel drive? I'm not totally sure. Hit this one, DSC off, then setup, and then two-wheel drive, and then yes. Oh, hell yes. You can absolutely slide it in electric mode, as we have found out, which is amazing. So two-wheel drive, DSC off, Kinematic coming out of here. Just great freaking skids, easy as pie. And you can absolutely slide it around in electric mode, which is freaking great. Hell yes. Well, we learned that. Let's do one big skid here at the end. Hey dude, I'm still in electric mode. It's doing great. I'm gonna just rip around the skid pad with you one last time, and then I'm gonna kick it to combustion.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see how we can do a little full skids in electric mode, which is awesome. It does run out of steam a little bit, so you can get it there. It just doesn't hold and stay on the power.
And if you go to combustion, then we'll just go DSC on as well.
He's like DSC on. Okay, so M2. Now we're going to go to setup, MDM, not DSC on, because we don't listen. Setup, four-wheel drive sport, everything else loaded up. All right, got the combustion engine on. We are ready to rock and roll. I'll come right up to you. All right, so let's go. Now we're dialed in and we've got the combustion engine on. So now we're boogieing. And we're in manual mode. Great, love it.
The water spray is going to be pretty tough down that back stretch, so just try to keep your eyes open on the back stretch.
We'll use that torque down there, just balance it right on what that tire can do. We don't have much front end grip through there. Oh, it's big, but it's easy to dance it around. It's awesome. Early upshift. Any bit of power. Oh my gosh, so fast. It's just, it's great. I love it. Just balancing it on the dry and the wet line. Early upshift. Four-wheel drive sport's amazing. That is freaking awesome. Love that. Love that. That is so good. MDM's great as well. I mean, I prefer... Oh, wait. MDM? Yeah, I got MDM on. I only know how to go sideways. Come on, let's go. Keep it tidy. Keep it tidy. Gentle throttle, then wide open. Standing on the brakes, just full ABS. You can just keep the revs so low. Fast down the straightaway, it's awesome. Picking up the pace now. Leaning on the brakes. Just keep the revs low because you still have this electric torque down low, which is awesome. So just keeping it tidy, keeping it tidy. We weigh more than the M3 does. Yeah, buddy. Hell yes. Well, that was great. So we did a lap. Oh wait, this camera even died. Whoops. So we did a lap. If you're watching the front view, did a lap electric. Did a couple, four-wheel drive sports with MDM, which kind of lets you have some fun, although you can rely on the systems a bit. And really, really enjoyed that in the M5. So, yeah, thanks for joining for a super wet lap. That was enjoyable and informative, and I'm glad we were able to see if it drifts in electric. The answer is thumbs up. So now, some final thoughts on the M5. An M5 needs to kind of do everything, and I feel like we've put it through a ton of scenarios in this video. City driving, highway driving, and then, of course, performance driving on track, although it really loves more of an open track. That thing wants to get moving, get some speed under it, and man, does it just pull and pull and pull. So let's start with the negatives up front. The negatives are driving it around town, and the electric mode and combustion engine harmony isn't as well tuned as I would like. You do feel the shifting every time in electric mode, and it certainly makes enough power to get from A to B in EV mode, but you really don't have an EV-like driving experience in electric mode. So I think it's almost the worst use case of the car to consider driving it electric every day and then using the combustion engine for performance later on. And there is always that philosophical question of, if you spent money for a 700 horsepower car, and it's not to say this is cheap, it's $125,000 a spec or so, and I still think it's a lot of car for the money, but it's almost like, well, you want that 700 horsepower. So it's kind of cool to think about it as using the electric powertrain to enhance the combustion powertrain, and then it starts to make way more sense as to how the system operates totally. But without question, if you want to do the shop's electric, which is how I would want to do it, yeah, it's just a bit too clunky, doesn't make enough power, but at least you can go wide open throttle to the kickdown switch, and you can go 4-wheel drive sport and even 2-wheel drive mode with DSC off in electric mode. So I love that BMW lets you configure every single setting. So I think that's kind of a weak point on the EV side of things. 48 amp onboard charger, by the way, is in production now. So the very early cars only had a 32 amp onboard charger, 48 amp for touring and sedans moving forwards. Another downside is, well, whatever that tire was doing in the wet just was super quick breakaway characteristics. It was like just amazing. I actually got into an M4 competition on Continental tires after this, and was just blown away by the 50% more grip and just so much of a smoother, nicer breakaway characteristic. You can tell when I was driving this in the wet, man, it's twitchy. It wants to come around on you. And there's a few different OE tires on offer, and I can't remember exactly what I was driving on this car. I don't even know. I don't want to trash a tire company when it's not their fault, but I want to make sure I'm trashing the correct tire company here. But that car just did not drive well in the wet on those tires, and that's sort of Continental's thing, and that was really impressive. To experience the M4 on those Continental tires. So, okay, in the wet, on a small track, that's where the weight comes out. That's where those breakaway characteristics were not super as great as I would love them to be. But then you really do get a sense of like the capabilities of the car and the durability, the fact that it feels so under stressed just driving around the track all day. You can do anything you want to this thing, and it just feels so well tuned, so well sorted. And some other pros as well. It's an M5. It looks good. It drives good. It's just a nice, comfy car from a seating position. And then you can dial it up as crazy as you want or go as soft as you want. And so I really think they've achieved the sort of one car that can do it all. Especially, I have an upcoming video in the touring with the Audi RS6 Avant. And clearly the choice is to go for the M5 over the RS6, in my opinion. It's way more fun, way more technical. It feels way faster than the RS6. You'll see in my RS6 video that's coming up, just this insane amount of turbo lag and response time is annoyingly slow, and I love the RS6 Avant, so it's still a glowing review, but it's like after driving this is a whole nother animal. This is almost electric-like in its response and ability to get up to speed. The only real downside that I had, both in the touring and the sedan, was the road noise. I thought it was louder than it should have been. Now, that's very subjective, and I didn't drive the same cars, in the competitive set on the same roads, back-to-back, side-by-side. It just has more road noise than I would like. And I know they can make a quiet car because the i7's a really quiet car. And so I just thought, like, crank up the engine noise, turn off the fake sound, my opinion, and make it quieter in the cabin. That's kind of what they need to do for highway cruising, which, let's be honest, that's where most people are spending their time in M5s. My one concern is I think the market is going to be soft on M5s. Right now they're selling 4 sticker all day, every day with cars in stock. And they're brand new. The Tourings maybe will be a bit more desirable, I hope, but maybe just for a short period of time. I really think some of these electric cars, of course I'm jaded in my view, but these electric cars offer insane performance for so much less money that you really have to want the BMW M5 thing to pay up for something like this, especially with the risk of the downside depreciation and the lease prices being very expensive on these right now. So I'm curious to see what the market does, how it responds, how it reacts. I'm certainly like in the market for this car, but I'm not in the market to lose $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to depreciation over a couple of years. So I'm being very cautious at looking at what's happening with the Tourings. Can we get one? Can we make some content with it? Can I use it as a daily and not get hurt so bad, or maybe get a less expensive lease? Because I really would like the car, but yeah, I'm just worried that the reception to the M5 with the weight, with the styling, which I actually like the styling, and with the hybrid system, which to me is a pro, but to many people is not, I'm curious to see how it responds in terms of demand. So there you go. That's my M5 review. I really enjoyed driving it for the first time. It's never enough time. I really need to spend some time with it on a big fast track, a big Autobahn straight line cruiser. That's what it feels like. It feels like it would just sit at 200 miles an hour all day and not care. Curious what happens with the electric motor under sustained use and thermal management. I know BMW seems to have it dialed in and tuned well, but even just after one lap, we were losing electric power a little bit, probably due to some thermal system, maximum thermal temperature somewhere. So I'm still confused. I don't know what to think, but I'm intrigued, I'm interested, and it's a good first taste, a very quick first taste of the M5. So let me know what you think. Are you guys into this thing? Would you do sedan or touring? Would you skip it altogether? Would you go Model S Plaid with 1,000 horsepower for $30,000 less money? It's the handling dynamics more important to you than straight line performance. To me, it certainly is. Or would you actually, if you're going to get a fun car, get like maybe an X5 and an M2 and split your one M5 into purpose-built vehicles in the BMW lineup? So many possibilities here, but no question the M5 seems very solid, very well sorted from a technical perspective, not very buggy at all. Spec the M Drivers Pack. And there you go. Thanks so much for watching. See you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.